Orlando Pirates Fan TV. Kat here, we are joined by Zanele. It's the fourth episode of the Blunt Talk. Today we'll be discussing a lot of matters such as pirates, and more pirates. We will touch on a few matters such as Chiefs, Sundowns, other local teams. We'll also maybe get into international news, but that segment will be done by me because some of us are pro-pirates and pro-local. So we'd just like to ask Zanele how she is and how things have been going at Pirates in the past 4 games.
I'm doing okay, I'm fine. When it comes to our team's performance, it hasn't been up to scratch for the past 2 games, despite getting a point away from Marisburg. A game that we could have won if we put a lot of effort, but we got a point away from home. It was much better. But to lose against Jomo Cosmos was very a hard blow for Orlando Pirates' caliber and quality that we have. So things have not been going quite well, especially for Eric Tinkler as well as his technical team. With also injuries have helped Orlando Pirates in terms of moving up the log. So hopefully against Chiefs we can get the 3 points and start moving up the log standings.
Okay, and then we're going to start off by reviewing the past 4 games. Firstly, what do you have to say with Pirates getting 5 points out of a possible 12? Do you think that's good enough?
Definitely not. In order to be in a league contention, I believe that you have to all the time win your home games, which Pirates have failed to do. The first game against Platinum Stars, we got 1 point, which is bad at home. And Orlando Stadium is known as Iskotis Kamambizela, the slaughterhouse. But the past season, it's just been like a stadium where people can come and collect points. Moving on to Amatags, we got the 3 points as well, which is good. But we got 4 at home when we could have got 6.
Okay, wait. Sorry to interrupt you. I want to discuss, like, for Platinum Stars, players or points that I felt were important in those games. I've highlighted Tepo Kumete, Mponjane, The Rain, Kalinge, and Rachale. What can you tell me about Tepo Kumete? How was his performance that day and his selection? Were you surprised with it?
I wasn't entirely surprised, despite my fellow colleague here disagreeing that Mponjane should not get the nod. Right.
Talking about Tepo.
Yeah, Tepo. He's okay. He's a good player. Just that right now, I think he's just scared in terms of making mistakes. But he's a good player. If you can just understand that football it's a sport where you make mistakes, and if he can eventually relax and he'll play his normal game.
How was he that day?
He was fairly okay. I won't say he was bad. He was fairly okay, but the rain didn't help him. Same as our other defenders, it didn't help the rain, as well as our goalkeeper, Mponjane, on that day.
About your goalkeeper, what did you think of his performance, since you love him so much? Let's be candid here.
He didn't have a good game, honestly.
What was the problem?
I don't know, maybe he was panicking that he's playing against his former team. Maybe that's one fact you have to look at.
Isn't that but a thing that motivates you to play at your best?
It tends to be a negative as well, because you tend to overdo things, and when you overdo things, you could make mistakes. So maybe on that day he was nervous that he's playing against Platinum Stars to prove that they allowed a good player to leave. Also, he wanted to show maybe the Orlando Pirates technical team that he needs to play more often. So he tended to make more mistakes on that day. So I can only that. As for Thabo Kalinga, I'm quite happy that now he's getting a chance to play, because he's a good player. So we can take it from the games that he has had. Just that I think he tries too much, and when he tries too much, he tends to make a lot of bad choices.
Can you blame our bad form on the rain? Because in Platinum Stars, remember at Orlando, it was pouring. The following game, we can actually blame it on the rain, because remember against Tuks, there was no rain, and we won. Marisburg, was there rain? Wasn't there?
It was semi-rain.
Yeah, there was rain, we drew. Jomo, it was pouring, and we lost. Can you blame it on the rain? Do you think they should play better in the rain, or maybe it's other factors?
There's no such thing as that. After all, it's 11 against 11. How did Jomo Cosmos win the game? Were they playing the day? Was it sunny? It wasn't sunny.
But if you notice Pirates' football, it depends on putting the ball on the ground.
Then your coach needs to even when it's raining in a day, he needs to train you guys when it's raining and say, let's go. You have to prepare for every situation. You cannot just play when it's sunny, then you know we're going to play our best football. I mean, Pirates go, even when they go play against AJ's Cape Town in Cape Town, they struggle through the wind. So why can't you try and find a way to work through that in order for your team to adjust to every situation that you might find yourself in?
So you feel it's too many excuses?
Yeah, it is, because at the end of the day, Jomo Cosmos got 3 points. They're playing against Pirates in the rain. So you can't say because of the rain, Pirates didn't play a normal game. You have to strive, like pull all cylinders, all sides and everything just to get the 3 points, which they didn't do on that day. So you can't blame him.
And were you happy? Remember in the game against Platinum Stars, Rachale and Kalinga were benched. Did you see when they came in, were you happy with their performance? Some people were saying in that game that they might be the most dangerous wingers in the country. Are you happy with that? Because remember how Kalinga played so well and he motivated Rachale to even play well.
I wasn't happy. A lot of factors. For one is I believe the time of the substitution also counts a lot. Maybe they came while it was like near the end of the game. Also, they came when it's under pressure. You know, when a player comes under pressure, let's say you're losing 1-0, or you guys need to consolidate as well. It tends to put a lot of pressure on the player that's coming in for the team. So I wasn't happy the time that they came in through substitution. But with that game, I think they built from that game to our last game against Jomo Cosmos, despite not playing well as a team. But I think the both players have actually improved from that game till the last one.
Okay, going to the Tuks game. Tuks is languishing 14th or 15th in the log. They are very disappointing. We hear they also fired their coach, or he's resigned, as they like to say, but we know it's never that. We struggled against Tuks. We want to know, but for a team as big as Pirates, for a team with the following that we have, we shouldn't be struggling against teams that are 14th or 15th on the log. What do you have to say about that victory before we get into the technicalities?
Like in just to summarize everything, whether it's Real Madrid or whether it's Chelsea, whether it's Orlando Pirates, whether it's Kaizer Chiefs, if the players don't want to play, they're not going to play for you. This just sums up with Orlando Pirates. The players don't want to play. Some players want to be begged for you to don the Orlando Pirates jersey for you to play those 3 points. So if you don't want to play, please move aside and give other players a chance. It's not a matter of...
Any specific players?
Yeah, there are quite a lot. They know themselves. The players that are most trusted at Orlando Pirates are not giving the cat for Orlando Pirates. Just the honest truth is that. So those players some of them cannot be replaced because they're favorites. The honest truth is that some of them are considered experienced. So with the injury list we have to rely on those players despite not giving us the all when they're given a chance to play.
Speaking of favorites, what did you think of Sfiso Mieni's performance in the past 2 games? Against Platinum Stars, he got injured and he was taken off. And then for Amatax, he scored a goal. What do you think of his performance? Since he's come back from his injury, do you think he deserves to be thrown back into the starting 11? Or he should get a few minutes, not start the game?
I think he should stay on the bench, honestly speaking. When it comes to his position, I think Tawad Qaling is doing quite well right now. Tawad Qaling even made Mpoma Kola sit on the bench as well. So he must be doing something well in training. So I think he needs to continue Tawad Qaling to play on the right wing. So Makola and Mieni can be second. They can play second fiddle to him and third fiddle. But nowadays Makola is playing a playmaker role because Manisa's absent. So Mieni's okay to start on the bench. He needs to push as well to push Qalinga to wind up getting starting 11.
And then speaking of goalkeepers, don't you think that Mponjane was supposed to seize the moments the way that Brighton Mhlongo did against Tuks, because he was brilliant. Pirates played badly, but the only reason they won that match was because of Brighton Mhlongo. What did you think of his performance that day?
It was
Were you surprised?
Yeah, I was surprised, but a lot of things when it comes to the back line, a lot of factors you need to think of in terms of the the understanding between the center backs as well. Orlando Pirates chop and change their back line. Like this week, you'd see, like last week, Ayanda was playing, Matlaba was playing too, Roy was playing with Sepa Kumete. So next week, you see Ayanda is playing center back with Kumete, Matlaba is back at 3, Nyauza is back at 2. So a lot of things need to consider when it comes to your defense. Maybe they'll understand each other. So with the defense, you need to understand each other and have time to gel and like eventually to come together. But with Ponjane, he came in, he's thrown in the deep end when the team's not doing quite well. So obviously it's going to put a lot of strain and pressure for him as well to do well. He tends to make mistakes and he wants to prove himself as well. He's a good player. He had a right to be signed by Pirates and play for Orlando Pirates. So those factors need to be considered all the time. But he's a good goalkeeper as well for Orlando Pirates.
And then the combination of Tepo Kumete and Ayanda Kaba against Tuks, the cracks started to show. And then it happened against Maritzburg United. Were you really disappointed that we could be losing 3-0 at halftime, or were you expecting it, seeing as to how we played against Tuks?
Against Tuks, honestly speaking, we were quite lucky to get the 3 points. Honestly speaking, so when it comes to Maritzburg, the combination of Gumete and Kaba, it actually showed that both of them, in a way, Ayanda's more experience when it comes to Gumete. So I believe when you have your centre backs, both of them, there's a one who has to read the game, there's a one who has to anticipate play. So both of them, I don't know how they communicate, but they're both doing the same thing, which strains our defense as well. So another thing was that they played a high line. Our defense was playing a high line.
Do you think they also underestimated City? Because to lose 3-0, it really shows that you are not taking the team that you're playing against seriously, especially because City are the last team on the log. And to be losing 3-0, did you think they had that, okay, we won against Tuks, our confidence is back? Do you think they sometimes don't assess their opponents properly?
Yeah, I do believe that it could happen like that, as well as the coach could maybe have a strategy for game time on the day, but at the end of the day, it's the player that needs to do the job in the field. So the players might have underestimated Maritzburg United and think, okay, we got 3 points against some attacks, the Langshin in the log. We can also get the 3 points against Maritzburg United without putting more effort, but it turns out Maritzburg had a leave under the sleeve, so they just came back and wanted to get the 3 points. But luckily, we came back starting from the first half with a goal by Rahane.
Do you think it's good enough for us to come back? 3-0 down is a huge score to turn around. Do you take that as a positive, or do you take that we shouldn't have been there in the first place and it's not a positive for you? What's your take on that?
It's a positive, regardless that our defense wasn't up to scratch on the day. But it's a positive to show that the quality that we have, you cannot come back from, if it's 1-0, then yeah, but a 3-0, to even try and get the win, come back with the win, it was quite good for Orlando Pirates. It showed the character that we once had in our team, that despite the scoreline, we can still come back and give it to the opposition a hell of a game, and that's what they did. We got the 3 points. There were a lot of players in the second half that made a difference for us. A substitution by Rick Tinkler, introducing Tanan Jumaelo, he made a huge difference for us. As well as Rahalik, from the first half, he was the only player who was trying. In the second half, he came back to life and they scored goals. So I was quite happy with our performance in the second half. If they can only build from the second half performance in the Maritzburg game, we can actually move up from the log.
What is the problem with our players dying so early and their cause? Is it coincidence, or do you think there's some recklessness?
When it comes to that, we born and everything. God decides on which day we're all gonna pass. So, regardless what circumstances, you cannot run away.
You cannot be dying at the same way.
My point is, all God made a reason. You're gonna die. Maybe you're gonna die. You've been sick, or.
But don't you think? Look at this.
If send me, you were died doing what? Was he driving?
No, that's not to speak of Senzo, but look at Kifliremi, Leslie Manyatela. You look at this guy who passed away. There's Mondli Cele. There's Pirates players. Cecil Lolo was also in and Pirates, the Majoros, Brighton Mhlongo. There's been a lot of players involved with cars in Europe. I want to use Europe as an example, but in Real Madrid, almost every player there drives a Lamborghini. You know how fast a Lamborghini is, but they never caught in such situations. What is the matter with South African players? I mean, if you don't die from driving a Lamborghini and you die from driving a 3 Series, then there is a clear problem. Do they not know how to drive, or is it bad luck? What could you say is the problem?
I honestly don't know. Maybe, you know, especially when it comes to the players that, the past two players that have passed away in our Premier League, Mundley and Cecil. Both players died in the early hours of the morning. So, you know, their lifestyle and everything. So maybe the problem is alcohol and not getting enough rest. And, you know, when you're with friends, you tend to be hyperactive. You tend to do the wrong things. When they come back from a party, the busy pumping you up.
Who's to take the blame there? The clubs or the players? Or both?
You can't blame the coach, the teams. I don't believe that. But there was a suggestion that teams should, even after the game, make players sleep over and then leave in the following morning. That could prevent other things. But I always say that you can't run away from death, regardless that you can make it. You can prevent it, but if it's your time, it's your time. You can, even if Molly had slept that day and left on Sunday morning, he got an accident, what were you going to say? Faith, it's time.
But you look at the time. He died in the early hours of the morning.
If it's not
Which,
the time-
I mean, but to speak the truth, early hours of the morning, it's danger. Early hours of the morning or late hours of the night. That is. I understand that. Okay, you can die, but that is tempting to die even more. It's taking up the chances to a higher extent. If you understand what I'm saying.
I understand, but we cannot entirely blame only the players that are driving the car. Do you understand that not only Mondli was on the road, maybe there could be another car. So I could be driving safely, but you, on the other hand, could be driving necklacelessly. So you could bump into me and then I die. So you cannot entirely fault Mondli and say Mondli could have slept, whatever. I always say, if it's time for me to die, I will die. If Mondli was not supposed to die on the day, he was going to be saved. But it was his time and his way for him to leave us.
As Orlando Pirates Fan TV, we are not blaming him for dying. We just feel that such a talent to die at a young age is really unfortunate, and players should look after themselves more. Going to the next game was the Jomo Cosmos game in Olen Park, Olen Stadium, Park Stadium, they call it that. I went to the game. She didn't go to the game, but what I can say about the game is that the stadium was pretty much disastrous. The facilities there were terrible. The rain made the situation even worse. And I also feel that for a team like Orlando Pirates traveling to Potchefstroom, I know people are excited to see Pirates, but I also feel that for security, the stadium wasn't safe. It took probably 30 minutes for people to go in, and you know fans get impatient, and the stadium was sold out. That's not a good sign for us, because as journalists, we also had to be in that crowd of the tons of people that were there. But, you know, there's nothing that we can do. But I just want to comment that on PSL side, maybe they should organize the game better or choose a different stadium. But a team like Orlando Pirates, you know it's going to sell out a 5,000-seater stadium. So, and if a problem starts, they're going to blame Pirates. They're not going to blame the PSL. Pirates is going to be the ones. They'll say Pirates fans are wild, they're crazy. But what can the fans do? But anyway, going to the game, Pirates drew 1-1. I'm sorry, they lost 1-1. I wish they drew 1-1, but they lost. But it was a terrible game. Everything went wrong for Pirates. Gabuza was off form. On top of the form that he did not have, he ran into players maybe twice. Intercepted passes. Thabo Rahale was not confident all of a sudden. Thabo Matlabo was shooting all over the place. The only positive in that game was Thabo Qalinge. He was the most impressive. Kumete and Qaba were always caught out of possession. Roy Mahamudza made the situation worse. Goalkeeper was impressive. He tried his best. And the disappointing thing about that game was that Jomo Cosmos were not out to win. They were out to get a draw. If they lost, they wouldn't have cried, but we lost. I do not understand that defeat. We could also blame but for this game, I'll leave the coach. I won't blame the coach because everything went wrong for Pirates. Every possible thing went wrong. But I'd like to hear what Zanele thought of the game and the selection. And at the end of that, I'd like you to rate the players from goalkeeper to the striker and maybe some few substitutes. So 1 out of 10, you'll say. But let's start off with the game. How did you think the game went?
It was very poor for Orlando Pirates' quality.
Oh, also poor officiating.
Not entirely so. He was good.
Remember the penalty? The penalty was terrible.
But it was, let's just say it's karma. Because the first penalty that we awarded wasn't a penalty. But the second one where Tendai was fouled in inside the box, that was a penalty.
Yeah, but
So
that's still bad. No,
that's
but that's
karma.
still bad
No,
penalty.
that's karma.
No, no,
We're
no.
playing the
That
first
doesn't have to do with anything. That's just bad officiating.
No, it wasn't.
Because
Mr.
that's not
Bafana-
even supposed to
Bafana
happen.
was Bafana, whoever Bafana's surname is, he was good. He was.
But did you see how Chomosono was crying? Even the Pirates coach.
That guy he officiated quite well on that day. I was at home, watching at home properly compared to the people at the stadium. So I could analyze a lot of things, a lot of factors. So he was okay, despite the blunder he did on the penalty, awarding us a penalty. On the second one, not awarding us a real penalty that time, but as I say, it's karma for the first one that he gave us that it wasn't a penalty. In terms of overall performance for Orlando Pirates, it was very poor. But you have to think of the changes we had to bring in yet again, and our defense as well. Ntsela Nyauza being out through suspension, have to play under Kaba on our right back, and then Matlaba's playing right.
What do you have to say about Thabo Matlaba always wanting to take responsibilities?
Matlaba, Makola, Erasmus, Mieni, share the ball. Dudes, like Orlando Pirates is not your team. Erasmus as well, it's not your team. Like those guys don't like sharing the ball. They're players that could be in a better position just because they want them to be on the headline.
Especially Thabo Matlaba.
Like even Erasmus as well, he's bloody selfish, honestly speaking. Like I'm here, like sorry, but you're selfish. Anyway, and Makola as well, he tends to, but he's okay, Makola is there and there.
And then Rachale is not selfish. He needs to learn how to be selfish.
Thank you. Oh, hallelujah. Rachale on the day was playing against Thabo Matlaba. You know, somebody was saying to me, Rachale was not playing quite well in that game.
You don't understand who's the winger.
The thing is, Matlaba tends to forget his rightful duties, which is to be a defender.
And the funny thing,
on the other hand, is not one player. You know, you've got players. Rachale, I think he's got the same character as Manyisa. He's one of those players who don't shout during the pitch. Like, pass me the ball. He's one of those guys, pass me the ball. So if you don't pass him the ball, you'll be like, okay, whatever, this guy didn't pass me the ball. Whereas both Fiso, Bo Section, Thabo Qaling, the shot for the ball, give me the ball. So on the day, Matlaba was the one doing the overlapping, and Rachale was covering him all the time because he always does it defensively. He helps out defensively. So people were busy judging Rachale on the day he wasn't playing well, but he didn't play well because Matlaba wanted to be in everything. So how can you fault him and expect him to push his way there when you see Matlaba wants to be the man of the show as the captain? Captain.
Majora's penalty miss.
Majoro, ne.
Why was Majoro and Kabuza started? That's never happened. What was the thinking behind that? Was Erasmus injured? Was he off form? Was he given a rest? What's the story with Erasmus?
Erasmus had to leave camp. He had personal problems to sort out. So that's why they played Kabuza with Majoro. But as for the penalty miss, sorry, Major, but I knew that you're going to miss it. Sorry. I just knew it. Like, I didn't understand why didn't Matlaba go and take the penalty. Why didn't Isasa take the penalty?
But a striker must take a penalty.
But a striker that is quite confident.
Yeah, but a striker is there to take goals.
That is really, really lacking in terms
But
of...
I don't buy that. If you watch Manchester United, when Rooney has been off form for a while, they gave him a penalty, he scored, now he's back on form.
But you need to look at the league. Like in South Africa, do you think... So no, I didn't want Major to take the penalty. Even Kabuz on the day didn't. I just hoped that maybe Isasa or Matlaba, Matlaba should have taken the penalty. Maybe he would have scored and missed. Anyway, he would have missed. Not to understand. But as for Majoro, I don't know what's up with Major. I don't know what's wrong. He's trying, but I think
Do you think he's going to leave?
The further you try, the further you dip in the form, you're losing form even more. So I don't know what's up with
Will he go?
No, he's been offered a 1-year extension to his contract.
Does he deserve one?
Yeah, with his caliber, he does deserve one. He cannot throw.
Leave the caliber. We're talking about form.
Yes, he's still a good player. Regardless, no, we cannot just lose. Okay, the example he gave us. So Rooney was not in form. Manchester was
But
supposed
Rooney
to.
tries his hardest. Machoro.
Jora will do the same thing as well. We cannot throw him at the Wolves. Already he's down, but we cannot just say he's a bad player overnight. He's a good player. So
A player I forgot to mention. What did you think of Tendai Ndoro against Tuks? He did a lot. Also, against Jomo Cosmos, he was denied a penalty. What did you think of that?
Tendai, slowly but surely but slowly, he's getting to Orlando Pirates' philosophy and culture and everything. He's trying. He's gonna get there eventually. It's just that he needs to relax. He needs to understand that you don't have to rush things. You need to take your time, and eventually you'll gel with the players. But because it's still new for him, he still hasn't got this understanding with Orlando Pirates wingers and midfielders how we play. So over time in it, you could find him maybe not doing the right runs, or maybe clashing with the same teammates. So eventually, but he's getting there. Like we see the quality that possessed Orlando Pirates to signing from Bumana Black Aces.
Okay, cut. So yeah, this conversation in. Yeah, on. Ndoro. Speaking of Tendai Ndoro, what did you think of Tendai Ndoro's performance in the past game against Tuks, especially against Marisburg? Remember, he created the goal for Erasmus, and he could have won a possible penalty. What do you think of him?
When it comes to how he started off at Pirates, I think he tried very hard to gel in London Pirates quite quickly, so that kind of backfired for him.
Do you not think that we have too many strikers? If there's Ndoro around, one of them have to go. You think we should have as much as possible? Because if you have a lot of strikers, there's a lot of clicks and there's a lot of tension if there's too many people in vying for one position. What's your take on that?
That I think the players, how many strikers? We have 4 strikers at Pirates. The other one was loaned out, Spamandla Sangweni. So he was the 5th one, he left. So with the strikers that we have, I think it's okay. The number 4, it's okay, fairly okay. Same as, you can't have 2 strikers because you tend to become too predictable in terms of the teams playing against you. So with the strikers, we have the number 4. 4 is okay, so it's fairly okay for us.
If you went on our Instagram page, Orlando Pirates Fan TV, and also if you went on YouTube, you'll notice that there's a lot of mixed reaction. There are fans that want Tinkler to stay. There are fans that want Tinkler to go. I was surprised because as a Baganea and as I know South African football, our fans, especially Pirates fans, are the most brutal fans you'll ever find in the country. But for them to be wanting Tinkler in surprised me. Why do you think fans still want Tinkler in?
They always talk about he's the only coach who took us to the CAF final, but Roger decided the same thing. So maybe they just want a South African coach to be given a fair chance, which what we should do.
What difference do you see in Tinkler's Pirates and Roger's Pirates? Or you can even take it back to, okay, let's stick to Tinkler and Roger.
None, because I think their philosophy is the same.
Yeah.
They just play. Where else with the great form we ever had was in the Confederations Cup. The team was playing quite well, even though the defense was lacking goals, but the attacking front was doing quite well. The same thing with Roger Tissot's time at Pirates. The team was playing quite well in Africa as well. So when it comes to a domestic league, no, I don't know what happens, whether they're tired or they just underestimate, or the team's playing quite well, the opposition playing quite well against Orlando Pirates. I don't know what's happening with the team.
And for the fan, I spoke to a fan who said that Rudgro took 3 seasons to win something at Pirates. I kept on arguing that Pirates has never been 14th on the log, but he says that Pirates should keep Tinkler and they should keep Tinkler, let him do his job. They shouldn't interfere. He feels that there's a lot of interference at Pirates. He says when Kroll was there was no such thing. Kroll did his job with no interference. Do you buy the story? Because also in Europe, in a club like Chelsea, Jose Mourinho, he's the best coach in the world, but there was interference. The owner wanted to sell Peter Cech, and he didn't have a say on that matter. The owner wanted certain players to play, and he didn't have a say in the matter. But he still managed to get results. Don't you think a coach should deal with interference, or do you think that a coach's position should be respected? What's your take on that? And do you believe that Tinkler is being told what to do?
And when it comes into, like honestly speaking, Paris do have that interference. Big one. It's a big one.
Is it problematic?
It is, because in a way, even the players tend to disrespect the coach. They don't have. It clearly shows that the technical team or the management does not have faith in Tinkler.
Why would you employ him then if you're going to tell him how to do his job? Why don't you just do the job?
This morning I read that maybe Orlando Pirates is keeping Tinkler because there's not a suitable replacement for him.
Or they want to save money?
Yeah, you could say that. But currently they don't have a suitable replacement, so that's why they're keeping Tinkler. It is believed the last straw for Tinkler was in the game against Mamelodi Sundowns in December. That on January you're gonna get a new coach. Still, we wait for the new coach. But when it comes to interference for the management, everything is there, and it's quite huge around the Pirates.
Does it make you angry?
Those who say Rudy Kroll didn't have interference clearly don't know what's happening at Orlando Pirates. He did. You should ask yourself. Roger, who's this guy? Rudy Kroll.
Yeah.
Despite not winning, taking 3 seasons to eventually win everything. In this whole season, he did reach the finals despite not winning. That showed that he's a good coach. At this last year of his contract, he won cups. He left. So ask yourself, who in a rightful of mind could leave a team after you've won the cups? You obviously offered a new contract. Why would you leave a team that's going to offer you more and offer you an extension to your contract?
So you felt that Pirates felt that they did this on their own. It wasn't Kroll's doing.
No, it was interference. He couldn't take it.
I mean, do you feel that the reason they didn't offer him a contract is because they felt that they were capable of coaching Pirates?
No, it wasn't because of that. They did offer him an extension. He denied it. He declined it because he didn't want to continue working with the sort of people. Because
Controlled.
yes, because a lot of players at that time, the likes of the same reason why Rudy Kroll didn't play Teko Modise all of a sudden, because he was became big-headed. He had to leave Orlando Pirates. So he didn't beg players, or okay, you're Teko, you're whoever, I need to play you because of this player. So that's the thing. He stood his ground and showed that whether you
That's the
Cristiano
point
Ronaldo,
I want to make, because okay, you might say that Ruud Krol was being there was interference in his job, but Ruud Krol had control of that team. You could see that the players respected him, and you could see that they wanted to fight for their coach. For Tinkler, for Roger Desar, they divisions. Maybe 6 out of 11 will, but a coach like Ruud Krol, he stamped his authority. Players knew where to go, where not to go. They knew that they have to fight for the team. But you see in this Pirates, when we're losing 1-1, there wasn't really much of urgency, you know. So, do you also feel that Tinkler should go, or he should scare the players more because they don't want to fight for him?
it's long overdue. That's not going to work now. The tactics won't work on the players because the already management interfered, and obviously the players know themselves that
Is Pirates the only team with this?
he's. I'll only talk about Pirates. I know about Pirates.
But do you think Kezam Taung tells his coaches, because he's been praised, all of his coaches, that Coach Chief say that Keza lets you do your job?
I don't believe that, because that's the same reason Stuart Baxter left Kaizer Chiefs, because they sold Kingston Gata. He didn't want him to go, and they sold him.
But that's not really interference. That's just the board wanting to make money.
But my point is, he doesn't control or play Kingston Gata. Everybody was booing Kingston Gata at the time he was playing for Chiefs. But Stuart Baxter stood by him. He played him regardless what the fans thought of him. So that clearly shows that he's a coach of a statue, that he knows what he wants, and he knows if the results don't come, you can blame me. Rather than you put a starting 11, then the team loses, and then people will be blaming me, Eric Tinkler, that Pirates lost in the starting 11 that I did not put, but the management put up. If I lose with my starting 11, then I can defend myself. On the other hand, if I play Ukatleho, I play Tumi, and he's not on form because the management want me to play him, then we lose. What will happen? They blame Tinkler. They don't blame the management, because they are behind closed scenes, while Tinkler is the front guy in the Orlando Pirates, as the Orlando Pirates coach, as they say.
Okay. Some strong views coming from Zanele, surprisingly. I don't know what they fed her today, but she is being honest. She's speaking from her heart. Whatever she was fed, she should get it more. Um, it's a family channel, so I will not say what she said. But anyway, this is the first part of the interview. We were talking about the past 4 games. Now, the second part, we'll be discussing the derby and what to expect from the derby. Thank you. Follow us on Instagram, Orlando Pirates Fan TV. Follow us on Twitter, OPFC1937. And follow us on YouTube. I messed that up. Take that out. Thank you.